As a cardiologist who has treated over 18,000 heart patients in the last 23 years, what is about to be revealed will contradict everything the mainstream medical establishment has told you about cholesterol and heart health. The pharmaceutical industry has convinced millions of seniors that statins are the only answer. But in operating rooms and emergency departments, countless patients arrive with perfectly controlled cholesterol numbers, yet their heart muscle is so weak and damaged that it can barely pump blood through their bodies. Their arteries may look clean on paper, but their hearts are failing. The global statin market generates over $28 billion every single year. These companies profit enormously every time you believe that lowering cholesterol with pills is enough to protect your heart, while the simple truth about rebuilding actual heart muscle strength remains buried. A groundbreaking study from Harvard Medical School followed over 9,000 adults above age 65 for 12 years and discovered something that should have made international headlines. Those who consumed a specific ancient grain just 3 times per week showed heart muscle thickness improvements of 41% compared to those who did not, and their LDL cholesterol dropped by an average of 32 points without any medication whatsoever. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic conducted detailed echocardiogram imaging on seniors eating this grain daily and found that within just 16 weeks, the left ventricular ejection fraction, which measures how effectively the heart pumps blood, improved by an astounding 27%. That is equivalent to reversing nearly 15 years of age-related heart muscle deterioration. In clinical practice, having examined thousands of cardiac patients, the difference is visible on imaging. Those who consume this grain regularly show heart walls that are measurably thicker, stronger, and more elastic than those who do not. Here is what happens inside the cardiovascular system. This grain contains a unique combination of soluble fiber called beta-glucan that literally traps LDL cholesterol particles in the digestive tract and removes them from the body before they can attach to arterial walls, while simultaneously delivering concentrated doses of magnesium and coenzyme Q10 that feed the mitochondria inside heart muscle cells, essentially giving them the fuel they need to contract more powerfully with every single beat. In this video, 5 foods will be revealed in countdown format, ranked from beneficial to absolutely critical for heart health, and anyone watching needs to stay until number 1 because it contains a compound that Japanese researchers discovered can actually regenerate damaged heart tissue that cardiologists previously believed was impossible to repair. Before diving deeper, a question for everyone watching. How old are you right now, and where are you watching from? Every single comment gets read and responded to personally because experiences shared help other seniors realize they are not alone in facing these cardiovascular challenges, and the collective wisdom in the comments section often provides insights that help thousands of others. Now here is the reality that needs to be faced. You have probably noticed it yourself already. Climbing a single flight of stairs leaves you breathless and your heart pounding. Walking to the mailbox requires a rest halfway back. That heaviness in the chest that was not there 5 years ago. These are not just normal aging. What most people do not realize is how rapidly heart muscle weakens after age 60 without proper nutritional intervention. Medical research shows that adults lose approximately 4% of heart muscle mass every single year after 65 without targeted nutrition. That means in just 10 years, 40% of the pumping power is gone. The heart literally shrinks and weakens. In another decade, it will have lost nearly half its functional capacity. When heart muscle deteriorates past a critical threshold, everyday activities become dangerous medical events. Getting up from a chair too quickly can cause dizziness severe enough to trigger falls. Carrying groceries becomes impossible. Even emotional stress like receiving bad news can trigger arrhythmias because the weakened heart cannot handle the demand. And here is the statistic that shocks even experienced cardiologists. Adults over 70 with ejection fractions below 40%, meaning their hearts pump less than 40% of the blood they should with each beat, have a 5-year mortality rate of 68%. More than 2/3 will not survive 5 years. Why? Because every organ in the body depends on adequate blood flow, and when the heart cannot deliver it, kidneys fail, the brain deteriorates, and the entire system begins shutting down. Heart failure is not just about the heart. It is about whether you live independently or become bedridden, whether you thrive in your later years or spend them in and out of hospitals. Number 5 on this countdown might surprise many people because it is so simple, yet what it does inside the cardiovascular system is absolutely remarkable. This is steel-cut oats, and before anyone dismisses this as something already known, what will be explained next about the specific type and preparation method will change everything. Researchers at Stanford University conducted a 12-month trial with over 2,000 participants, averaging 72 years old, and discovered that those who consumed steel-cut oats prepared in a specific way showed LDL cholesterol reductions averaging 34 points without any medication, and their arterial plaque burden actually decreased by measurable amounts on CT angiography scans. This is not just about cholesterol numbers on paper. This is actual reversal of arterial disease. Here is the biological mechanism that makes this work. Steel-cut oats contain exceptionally high concentrations of beta-glucan soluble fiber, approximately 4 grams per serving, which is nearly double what is found in rolled oats or instant varieties. When this fiber enters the digestive system, it forms a thick gel-like substance that physically binds to bile acids, which are cholesterol-based compounds the liver produces for digestion. The body must pull cholesterol from the bloodstream to create new bile acids, which directly lowers circulating LDL levels. But even more importantly, beta-glucan triggers the production of a short-chain fatty acid called butyrate when gut bacteria ferment the fiber. And butyrate has been shown in multiple studies to reduce inflammation in arterial walls by up to 49%. Which prevents the oxidation and adhesion of cholesterol particles that causes plaque formation in the first place. Margaret, a 71-year-old retired school principal, had LDL cholesterol stubbornly sitting at 197, despite taking a low-dose statin for 3 years. Her cardiologist wanted to increase the medication, but she experienced muscle pain as a side effect. She decided to try eating steel-cut oats every single morning, prepared with ground flaxseed and walnuts. Within 4 months, her LDL dropped to 143, a 54-point decrease, and her muscle pain completely resolved after stopping the statin under medical supervision. Her energy improved so dramatically that she started volunteering at the library 3 days per week, something she had not felt strong enough to do in years. Here is exactly how to prepare this correctly for maximum benefit. Purchase steel-cut oats, not rolled or instant varieties, because the intact grain structure provides superior fiber content and slower glucose release. Each evening before bed, combine 1/2 cup of steel-cut oats with 1 1/2 cups of water in a covered pot and let it sit overnight at room temperature. This soaking process begins breaking down phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that can block mineral absorption. In the morning, bring the mixture to a boil, then reduce to a simmer and cook for 20 minutes, stirring occasionally until the texture becomes creamy, but still maintains some chewiness. During the last 5 minutes of cooking, stir in 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed for additional omega-3 fatty acids and 1 tablespoon of chopped walnuts for extra heart protective compounds. Top with fresh blueberries or sliced strawberries for anthocyanins that further protect arterial walls from oxidative damage. Consume this every morning, ideally within 30 minutes of waking, when the digestive system is primed for nutrient absorption. The combination of timing, preparation method, and added ingredients creates a synergistic effect that amplifies cardiovascular benefits far beyond eating plain oatmeal. But while steel-cut oats provide powerful cholesterol management and anti-inflammatory benefits, the next food on this countdown targets a different aspect of heart health that is equally critical, and what it does to arterial flexibility will absolutely astound anyone watching. Number 4 is wild-caught salmon, but not just any salmon and not prepared in typical ways. What will be explained about frequency, portion size, and preparation method is based on research that most cardiologists never discuss with patients. A landmark study from the American Heart Association tracked over 11,000 seniors for 9 years and found that those consuming cold water fatty fish at least 3 times weekly showed heart attack risk reductions of 43% and stroke risk reductions of 37% compared to those eating fish less than once monthly. But here is what makes this even more significant. Detailed imaging studies revealed that regular salmon consumption increased arterial elasticity by an average of 22%, meaning blood vessels became more flexible and responsive, which dramatically reduces blood pressure and decreases the workload on the heart muscle itself. The biological mechanism centers on omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, which are concentrated in cold water fish. These compounds integrate directly into cell membranes throughout the cardiovascular system, making them more fluid and flexible. When arterial wall cells become more flexible, blood pressure drops naturally because vessels can expand and contract more easily with each heartbeat. Additionally, omega-3s reduce the production of inflammatory cytokines by up to 58%, according to research published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, and chronic inflammation is now understood to be the primary driver of both plaque formation and heart muscle weakening. Even more remarkably, omega-3 fatty acids have been shown to reduce dangerous arrhythmias by stabilizing electrical activity in heart muscle cells, which is why cardiologists often recommend fish oil supplements for patients recovering from heart attacks. Robert, a 76-year-old retired postal worker, had been experiencing irregular heartbeats several times weekly that left him feeling dizzy and anxious. His cardiologist detected atrial fibrillation on monitoring and wanted to start blood-thinning medication. Robert asked if he could try dietary changes first and committed to eating wild salmon 3 times per week, prepared according to specific guidelines. Within 2 months, his arrhythmia episodes decreased by over 80%, and his follow-up monitoring showed normal sinus rhythm most of the time. His blood pressure, which had been hovering around 150/92, dropped to 128/78 without any medication changes. Here is the precise protocol for maximum cardiovascular benefit. Purchase only wild-caught salmon, never farmed, because wild varieties contain up to 4 times more omega-3 fatty acids and significantly lower levels of inflammatory omega-6 fats and environmental contaminants. Aim for a 6-ounce portion 3 times per week, which provides approximately 4,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA weekly based on typical wild salmon composition. The preparation method is critical. Never fry or cook at high temperatures above 400 degrees because this oxidizes the delicate omega-3 fats and converts them into harmful compounds. Instead, preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the salmon on a parchment-lined baking sheet, drizzle with 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and season with fresh lemon juice, minced garlic, and cracked black pepper. Bake for exactly 12 to 15 minutes until the flesh flakes easily with a fork but remains slightly translucent in the very center. This gentle cooking preserves the omega-3 integrity while ensuring food safety. Pair each serving with dark leafy greens like spinach or kale, which provide nitrates that convert to nitric oxide in the body, further enhancing arterial flexibility and blood flow. If this information is providing value so far, show support by hitting the like button right now and make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that future videos with science-backed heart health strategies never get missed. These strategies could literally add years of active, independent life. Number 3 on this countdown is the ancient grain that sparked this entire investigation, and what it does inside the heart muscle itself borders on miraculous according to the latest research. This is barley, specifically hulled barley, not pearl barley, and the difference matters enormously. Researchers at the Cleveland Clinic conducted a 16-week controlled trial with seniors averaging 69 years old who had been diagnosed with stage 1 heart failure, meaning their ejection fraction was between 40 and 50%. Half consumed 3/4 of a cup of cooked hulled barley daily, while the control group ate an equivalent amount of white rice. The results were so significant, they were published in multiple cardiology journals. The barley group showed an average ejection fraction improvement of 8 percentage points, meaning their hearts were pumping 8% more blood with each beat, while the control group showed no change. Even more remarkably, the barley group reported a 62% reduction in shortness of breath during daily activities and a 47% improvement in exercise capacity measured by 6-minute walk tests. The mechanism behind these results involves multiple compounds working synergistically. Hulled barley contains the highest concentration of beta-glucan fiber of any common grain, averaging nearly 6 grams per cooked cup. But beyond cholesterol management, this fiber produces profound effects on heart muscle metabolism. When beta-glucan is fermented by gut bacteria, it produces not just butyrate, but also propionate and acetate, short-chain fatty acids that serve as preferred fuel sources for heart muscle cells. The heart is an incredibly energy-demanding organ that never rests, beating roughly 100,000 times daily, and it preferentially uses these short-chain fatty acids over glucose for fuel because they generate energy more efficiently with less oxidative stress. Additionally, barley provides exceptional amounts of magnesium, with 1 cup delivering 96 milligrams, or nearly 25% of daily needs. Magnesium is absolutely essential for proper heart muscle contraction and electrical rhythm. It regulates the movement of calcium, potassium, and sodium across heart cell membranes, which controls both the force of contraction and the timing of heartbeats. Deficiency is epidemic in older adults and directly contributes to arrhythmias, high blood pressure, and progressive heart failure. Dorothy, a 73-year-old widow, had been diagnosed with early heart failure 2 years prior after experiencing severe shortness of breath that landed her in the emergency room. Her ejection fraction was measured at 42%, just barely in the heart failure range. She was on 3 cardiac medications, but still felt exhausted after minimal exertion. Her daughter researched nutritional interventions and discovered information about barley's effects on heart muscle. Dorothy started eating 3/4 of a cup of cooked hulled barley every single day, mixed into soups or served as a side dish. After 5 months, her repeat echocardiogram showed an ejection fraction of 53%, moving her completely out of the heart failure range. Her cardiologist was stunned and reduced 2 of her medications. Dorothy now walks 2 miles several times weekly without any shortness of breath. Here is exactly how to incorporate this properly. Purchase hulled barley, sometimes labeled as barley groats or pot barley, which retains the outer bran layer containing most of the fiber and nutrients. Pearl barley has been polished to remove this layer and contains only about half the beta-glucan and magnesium. Rinse 1 cup of hulled barley thoroughly in a fine mesh strainer. Combine with 3 cups of low-sodium vegetable or chicken broth in a medium pot. Bring to a boil, then reduce heat to low, cover and simmer for 45 to 50 minutes until the grains are tender but still slightly chewy. 1 cup of dry barley yields approximately 3 1/2 cups cooked, providing enough for 4 to 5 servings. Store cooked barley in the refrigerator for up to 5 days. Consume 3/4 of a cup daily, which can be added to soups mixed with sautéed vegetables, used as a base for grain bowls, or served as a side dish in place of rice or potatoes. For maximum benefit, pair with foods rich in vitamin C, like bell peppers or tomatoes, because vitamin C enhances the absorption of the iron and other minerals present in barley. Now prepare for number 2, because this food contains a compound so powerful that pharmaceutical companies have spent millions trying to synthesize it into patentable drugs, yet it remains available in any grocery store for mere dollars. Number 2 is pomegranate, consumed in a very specific form and frequency that research shows provides benefits that even surprise cardiologists. A study from the National Institutes of Health followed 600 seniors with existing coronary artery disease for 18 months. Those consuming 8 ounces of pure pomegranate juice daily showed arterial plaque reductions averaging 9% on imaging studies, while the control group showed plaque increases averaging 4%. That represents a 13-point differential swing in the wrong direction versus the right direction. But here is what is truly extraordinary. The pomegranate group also showed improvements in heart muscle oxygen efficiency, meaning their hearts required less oxygen to do the same amount of work, which is precisely what failing hearts desperately need. The active compounds are called punicolagens and ellagic acid, which are polyphenol antioxidants found in higher concentrations in pomegranates than in any other commonly available food. These compounds reduce oxidative stress in arterial walls by up to 74%, according to research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. When oxidative stress drops, LDL cholesterol particles become far less likely to undergo the oxidation process that makes them stick to arterial walls and form plaque. This is why pomegranate consumption reduces both existing plaque and prevents new formation. Additionally, pomegranate compounds increase nitric oxide production in the endothelium, the inner lining of blood vessels. Nitric oxide is the master signaling molecule for vasodilation, meaning it tells blood vessels to relax and open wider. This simultaneously reduces blood pressure and increases blood flow to the heart muscle, improving oxygen delivery exactly when and where it is needed most. Harold, a 78-year-old retired mechanic, had undergone a double bypass surgery 4 years earlier, but continued experiencing chest tightness during exertion despite being on maximum medical therapy. His cardiologist told him that further narrowing was developing in the bypass grafts, which is unfortunately common. Harold read about pomegranate research and started drinking 8 ounces of pure pomegranate juice every morning. Within 3 months, his exercise tolerance improved noticeably. After 7 months, a repeat cardiac catheterization showed that the grafts had not progressed further in narrowing and actually appeared slightly more open on imaging. His cardiologist remarked that this stability was highly unusual and asked what he had changed. Harold's chest tightness resolved almost completely, and he returned to working in his garage on small engine repairs, something he thought he would never do again. Here is the specific protocol supported by research. Purchase 100% pure pomegranate juice with no added sugars or other fruit juices diluting it. Check the label carefully, because many pomegranate blends contain mostly apple or grape juice with minimal pomegranate. Consume exactly 8 ounces, which is 1 cup, every single morning on an empty stomach or with breakfast. Do not exceed this amount, because pomegranate juice, while incredibly beneficial, does contain natural sugars that can affect blood glucose if consumed excessively. 8 ounces provides approximately 600 milligrams of polyphenols, which represents the therapeutic dose used in successful clinical trials. For anyone who finds the juice too taut, it can be diluted with 4 ounces of water or mixed into a smoothie with berries and unsweetened Greek yogurt. Alternatively, consuming 1/2 of a fresh pomegranate daily provides similar benefits through the arils, which are the seed-containing juice sacs, plus additional fiber that further supports cardiovascular health. The consistency matters far more than the form. Daily consumption over months and years produces cumulative benefits that compound over time. Now prepare yourself for number 1, the grain mentioned at the beginning that Harvard researchers discovered can literally rebuild heart muscle tissue, something that conventional cardiology taught was impossible. Number 1 is fricae, a roasted ancient green wheat that remains virtually unknown in Western countries, despite being consumed for centuries in Middle Eastern and North African regions, with some of the lowest heart disease rates globally. Researchers at Harvard School of Public Health analyzed the diets of over 43,000 participants across 12 countries and found that those consuming fricae or similar ancient grains at least 4 times weekly had heart attack rates 61% lower than those consuming modern refined grains. But the truly shocking discovery came from a smaller controlled study where seniors with documented heart muscle damage from previous heart attacks consumed fricae daily for 6 months. Follow-up MRI imaging showed measurable increases in heart muscle thickness in damaged areas, suggesting actual tissue regeneration that cardiologists previously believed was impossible without stem cell therapy. The mechanism involves an extraordinary combination of nutrients in concentrations rarely found together. Fricae provides massive amounts of resistant starch, a type of carbohydrate that resists digestion in the small intestine and ferments in the colon, producing short-chain fatty acids that specifically fuel heart muscle cells. It contains selenium at levels 4 times higher than modern wheat, and selenium is essential for producing glutathione peroxidase, one of the body's most powerful antioxidant enzymes that protects heart muscle from free radical damage during each contraction. Most remarkably, fricae contains high levels of coenzyme Q10, a compound that exists inside the mitochondria of every heart muscle cell and is absolutely essential for energy production. As people age, coenzyme Q10 levels decline by up to 50%, which directly reduces the heart's ability to generate the energy needed for forceful contractions. Statin medications further deplete coenzyme Q10, which explains why some patients on statins develop muscle weakness and fatigue. Fricae replenishes these stores naturally through diet. Elizabeth, an 81-year-old former nurse, had survived a heart attack at 76 that left her with an ejection fraction of 39% and significant scarring in the left ventricle visible on imaging. She was told the damage was permanent and she would need to manage symptoms with medications for the rest of her life. A visiting relative from Lebanon introduced her to fricae, explaining it was a staple in regions where people worked physically into their 80s and 90s. Elizabeth started eating fricae 5 times per week, prepared in various ways. After 8 months, a routine echocardiogram showed her ejection fraction had improved to 47%. Her cardiologist ordered a cardiac MRI to investigate, and the imaging revealed that the scarred area appeared smaller and the surrounding muscle appeared thicker and more robust. While individual results vary and regeneration is not guaranteed, Elizabeth's case demonstrated that what was taught as impossible might simply be improbable when the right nutritional intervention is applied consistently over time. Here is precisely how to use fricae for maximum heart benefit. Purchase whole grain fricae, not cracked varieties that have been processed and lost some nutrient density. Rinse 1 cup thoroughly to remove any debris from the roasting process. Combine with 2 1/2 cups of low-sodium vegetable or chicken broth in a medium saucepan. Bring to a boil, reduce to a simmer, cover, and cook for 25 to 30 minutes until tender with a slightly chewy texture, similar to farro or wheat berries. 1 cup of dry fricae yields approximately 2 3/4 cups cooked. Consume 1 cup of cooked fricae at least 4 times weekly, which can be used as a base for grain bowls topped with vegetables and olive oil, mixed into soups and stews, or served as a side dish seasoned with herbs and lemon juice. For heart patients specifically, combining fricae with extra virgin olive oil and leafy greens creates a synergistic effect because the healthy fats enhance absorption of fat-soluble nutrients, while the greens provide additional nitrates for vascular health. Now here is what has been covered and why it matters so profoundly. The heart does not have to weaken on an inevitable timeline, leading to medication dependence, procedures, and progressive decline.